Jewish Channel's Week in Review. Has Obama really lost American Jewish support, or is one news outlet pushing the wrong story? And the best recipes for next week's Jewish holiday. It's the Jewish news that's changing your world on this episode of the Week in Review. Hello, and welcome to the Jewish Channel's Week in Review. I'm Stephen I. Weiss. Would you vote to re-elect Barack Obama as president, or would you consider voting for someone else? That's the question that became a hot topic for Jewish discussion this week in a poll claiming that Jewish support for the president has been cut in half since his election. But hold on, the reality in the Jewish community is far different than some headlines would lead you to believe, and the reasons why reveal a lot about how information can be manipulated in the Jewish community. Here's how the story spread this week. Arutz Sheva, a right-leaning news organization in Israel, ran a story headlined, "Poll: Obama has lost almost half of his U.S. Jewish support." From there, the story was picked up by a number of highly trafficked blogs, Failed Messiah, Vos's Nayas, and even the blog of award-winning Jewish web magazine Tablet, which ran the headline, "Massive Drop in Obama's Jewish Base." From there, the story was picked up on numerous additional blogs and emailed by many. The main problem with these stories is that they're not true. Here's what actually happened. In answer to that main question of whether American Jews would vote to re-elect Obama or consider voting for someone else, 42% of Jews said they'd vote to re-elect Obama, and 46% said they'd consider voting for someone else. It doesn't ask who they're planning to vote for, but rather if they'd consider voting for anyone other than Obama, which could include any Democrat or other person. The 42% who wouldn't consider voting for anyone else other than Obama is compared by Arutz Sheva with an estimated 78% who voted for Obama in 2008. But those two numbers can't be readily compared, and this poll doesn't suggest, as one report based on Arutz Sheva claimed, that American Jews only give Obama a 42% approval. Obama's actual approval rating among Jews, 57%, according to a poll conducted in March, is still far below his approval rating of a year ago, which was 79%. But the majority of American Jews do still approve of Obama's presidential job performance, and American Jews still approve of the president at a rate about 20% higher than the American population as a whole. So, how did all this misinformation get started? As it happens, the poll Arutz Sheva is talking about came out almost a month ago. It's hard to find the original poll if you're working off their story, because they claim the poll was conducted by the McLaughlin Group, a television show, when the poll was actually conducted by a firm called McLaughlin & Associates. That's probably why a lot of bloggers simply cited the Arutz Sheva report instead of looking at the poll themselves. And when the poll did come out a month ago, it was circulated by Jewish Republican advocacy groups, but it didn't get much reported on because of the unusual slanting of many of the questions, according to reporters TJC spoke with this week. This story that made the rounds this week, thanks to Arutz Sheva, is a good example of how information can't be trusted at first glance, even if it's spread to many outlets, some of them usually credible. The one piece of valuable information that did come out of the poll is about which Jews, Orthodox, conservative, Reform, or unaffiliated, take a more right-wing approach to the U.S. and Israel. One question that's nearly identical to another question in the American Jewish Committee's recent annual survey of American Jewish opinion, which we reported on a few weeks ago, asks, do you approve or disapprove of the job Barack Obama is doing handling America's relations with Israel? 50% of likely Jewish voters surveyed said they approve, with 39% saying they disapprove. Given the 4% margin of error, that's pretty consistent with the American Jewish Committee's numbers from March of 55% approval and 37% disapproval. But what this newer poll asked is for additional information about Jewish affiliation that's rarely available. The results show the Orthodox overwhelmingly disapproving, conservative Jews disapproving with a near majority, and a reverse picture among Reform Jews and non-practicing, with similar percentages of 63 and 61 approving and 26 and 30 disapproving. It's rare to be given such a clear understanding of the political differences between the different religious groupings in the American Jewish community. And even in very biased questions, there are some additional interesting revelations about what Jews think across the religious spectrum. We've got more discussion of these religious differences on our blog at newsdesk.tjctv.com. And moving on with the topic of religious affiliation, next week is the Jewish holiday of Shavuot, or Shavuos, and one of its most prominent traditions is the eating of dairy and not meat. One storied chef shared her recipes for the day, and Rebecca Honig-Friedman was there.
Cooking with dairy products isn't renowned kosher chef Levana Kirschenbaum's style.
Every time I do, I need to apologize a little because I found so many ingenious ways to make natural, non-dairy renditions of dairy dishes. I wrote a whole book about it.
But for the pre-Shavuot installment of her weekly cooking demonstration at Manhattan's Lincoln Square Synagogue, which includes a post-demonstration dinner, Levana is making an exception. And if the packed house is any indication, people like dairy.
Nice to see new faces. You just make blintzes and everybody comes out of the woodwork, right?
While blintzes, a Shavuot staple, are one of tonight's dishes, the stars of the show are more unusual fare. Levana let TJC in on her recipes for French onion soup, feta spinach stuffed tilapia with black rice, and for dessert, coconut chocolate pâte de crème. Not one to save the best for last, Levana starts with dessert.
Why start with dessert? Because you don't smell onion yet, you don't smell garlic.
What you will smell is chocolate.
Okay, so
for more on this and other dishes to feature at your holiday table, please see the full broadcast version of the Week in Review.
Thank you, Rebecca. That's all for this week. For more news and analysis from the Jewish Channel during the week, please check out our blog at newsdesk.tjctv.com. From all of us here at the Jewish Channel, be well. The Jewish Channel is available on cable. IO Optimum Cable Channel 291, Time Warner Cable Channel 528, RCN Channel 268, Verizon Fios Channel 900, and Cox Cable Channel 1. For more information, visit tjctv.com.